Doesn't go all the way back.
For wildlife, don't forget to just kind of look up and take in the whole broad panorama of what's out there. It's really quite spectacular. And that may be the memory you take back from the park. I hope it's all going to be clear out there today. We've got a little fire up north of us here. We got a whole bunch of fires up north of us here, and we had a little smoke in the park yesterday, but it's cleared out a little bit now, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed as far as visibility goes. But anyhow, take in the whole picture out there. And the mountain Denali, I don't know if that's going to be visible today. It's visible about 20% of the time, but if it does come out, I'll make sure you guys see it. I know where it's at. It's always in the same spot, right? So if it does make itself visible, you'll see the mountain. And then the wildlife. The wildlife is kind of different. We don't have any control over the wildlife. The animals are doing what they want out here. Sometimes the animals are close to the road, sometimes they're far from the road, sometimes they're up and moving about, sometimes they seem to be sleeping, and we never know what we're going to see on any particular day. And you guys are the wildlife spotters on the bus. I'm pretty much occupied with driving the bus. I'm really not able to look for wildlife, and you probably don't want me swiveling my head around here looking out the windows. I'm looking out in front, okay? So you guys look for the wildlife. And if you see something that you want me to stop for out there, just yell out a nice loud stop. Just that word. If I hear moose or bear or something like that, I'll think you're talking to your neighbor about the one you saw yesterday. And I'll keep rolling. But if I hear stop, that only means one thing to a driver. And yell it out pretty loud. I'm standing on the engine right here. It's really noisy up here. You guys in back, you can't hear the engine, but I can't hear anything else. So yell loud if you want me to stop. Just yell stop. And if it's safe to do so, I'll stop the bus. And once I've spotted whatever it is you're looking at out there, I can usually relocate the bus a little bit to give you a better view. And once the bus is all stopped and secured, you feel my parking brake go on up here and the bus kind of comes to a halt. Then you can unbuckle your seatbelts, you can get up, you can move across to the other side of the bus for a better view. And keep in mind, we got a lot of folks on the bus today, so we'll have to be sharing the windows with the folks behind us, but that's just courtesy, right? And you can drop your windows at a wildlife stop. Sometimes they fog up. We're getting a lot of fog on the windows right here. We'll take care of that as we start moving, but if you need to drop the windows to get a clear view, you put your fingers in the little holes in the tabs on the upper bar there, pull inward simultaneously, and then they just slide down. And then kind of slam them back up to close them. They work like that. Just like an old school bus, right? But nothing should ever stick out of a window at a wildlife stop. No human body parts out the window. No heads, no hands, no arms, no GoPro cameras on a stick waving around out there. I never used to have to say that. Now I do. But nothing outside the window at a wildlife stop. And we have good reasons for that. We don't want the animals to know there are people on the bus. And they don't know there are people on the bus. They treat this bus very much the same way they treat any other large object they encounter out there. They just encounter it, they walk around it, and keep on going. And they very seldom even look up. And that's what makes Denali different than places like Yellowstone or Yosemite, where people are wandering around their cars and walking up to animals and interacting with the animals. They're modifying the animals' behavior. We don't modify their behavior here. They don't know we're here, and they're doing their own thing out there, and we get to see some pretty cool animal interactions that don't involve humans here. And we want to keep it that way. I mean, we can't guarantee we're going to see something like that on any particular day, but we do see it, and we see it because they don't know we're in the bus. So we want to make sure that they don't see us in here, and they don't hear us in here. If the animals are anywhere nearby, then we're real quiet too. You guys can think of the bus probably like a wildlife blind, or a hide if you're used to that term. And you're the naturalists in here, just observing these animals in their natural setting, exhibiting their natural behavior, unaffected by the presence of people. And if you were in a hide or a blind like that, you wouldn't be waving out the little window at the animals trying to make them change their behavior, would you? Well, the same way with the bus. We're just observing them, and they don't know we're here. And we get some pretty good spectacular sightings. Sometimes an animal will be wandering around next to a bus doing something, maybe 4 or 5 buses in a row. And maybe 200 people will get to see this animal doing something. And that animal will have no idea that it's been within 15 or 20 feet of 200 people. And it works pretty special. And I hope it happens for us today. I can't guarantee it will, but it does happen. So at any wildlife stop, everything stays in the bus, and we're real quiet if the animals are anywhere nearby. Okay? Any questions? All right. We'll be on our way. Continue west on this road. We'll be going over a series of low passes and down into a series of river valleys. And you'll see the vegetation change pretty drastically with the change in elevation. When we were down at the WAC, we were only about 1,650 feet above sea level, pretty low, down in the Nenana River Valley. And there were a lot of big broadleaf deciduous trees around us down there. I don't know if you noticed them. There were birch, aspen, balsam poplar down by Horseshoe Lake there. There's some really big black cottonwood. And we've left all those deciduous trees behind already. We've been climbing ever since we left the WAC. And we're surrounded primarily now by white spruce. And these white spruce are basically the toughest trees on the planet. These go all the way up to tree line. And we're kind of approaching tree line already. And if you look out on the hillsides around us, you'd see if we went up very much higher, we'd be above tree line. And this paved portion of the road doesn't quite climb that high. We can just get right up to tree line on the pavement. But further out in the park, we'll be well above tree line. And we'll be up in alpine. Stunted and kind of spread out far apart. And tree line around here is only about 3,000 feet. It's pretty low. Heading west out there, that's where we're going to be going, and that's all gravel road out there. Everything beyond Savage. And this is Savage River we're coming up to right here out in front of us and off to the left. Not a real big river right here. Some of you folks that are used to big rivers might think this is hardly more than a creek. But the headwaters for this river, the source for this water, is immediately off to our left in the mountains right over there. So it doesn't have very much time or distance to get very big. And Savage River, like the other rivers we're going to see in the park today, is what's known as a braided stream. Braided, like braids in your hair. You see multiple individual channels of water sort of weaving their way across a wide, flat gravel floodplain out there. And there's a whole lot of little gravel islands in between and a whole lot of old dry channel scars marking that floodplain. Even in periods of high water, that floodplain never gets covered with water all the way across at any one time. What happens instead is the individual channels will kind of swell up. That's very typical of something cut out by a glacier, that rounded bottom. And multiple mountain glaciers merged together during the last ice age into one big glacier that pushed down this valley off to our left here, creating what you see out here, that old Savage Valley is glacially created. And you'll see more U-shaped valleys off in the mountains to our left, all in the big mountains, the main range to the left. That's typical of something cut out by running water, not glacial ice. And that sort of tells the folks that study this area that the extent of the ice that came down out of the mountains behind us was right here about where the bridge is now. That's as far as that glacier got. And we've got water-carved features downstream to the north and glacially carved features upstream to the south. And we'll be seeing more of that today too. And this is the Savage check station right here, beyond which all vehicles are by permit only. And the ranger's going to get on the bus and give us a little talk before we continue on up into the park. Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. Hi guys. How's everyone? Good. Welcome to Denali National Park and Preserve. My name is Jason. This is my first season here. I'm still super excited about everything. I'm excited that you guys are here too because you're going to get to explore something today that not many people in this day and age get to explore. And that's an intact ecosystem. So if you had come thousands of years ago, you would have seen the same stuff that you're going to be seeing today, which is kind of a cool thought. Your guide is going to give you tips on how you can explore this place in a way that you can leave it intact and leave it preserved for future generations to enjoy as well. So thanks so much for coming. I'm happy you guys are here, and have a great day in your national park.
Okay, we got 41. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good one.
Yeah. 10 minutes is up. 10 minutes is up.
Like my nose.
Up your nose in the bottle.
Yes, it didn't work out so well. It's like he cut me off.
I'll send it. Well, no, you don't let me. I'll send it to Norm.
Oh yeah, I've got the iCloud.
Delete them.
I have, and then
Download them to your computer. Then delete them from your phone. Upload them to the iCloud, and then you can.
I'm not
delete
using
them.
iCloud.
I'm sure it didn't hurt to be able to mention that when you're trying to get legislation passed in Congress, but that wasn't the real reason. As a matter of fact, one of the first boundaries of restriction that they got in this area. For the next 5 miles, hiking is on the road only. No hiking off the road. You can read the sign here. This restriction has been in place since about 1956. The Park Service implemented it here because the tundra on both sides of the road here is such good bear habitat. They didn't want see that right away. Okay, right down below us at about 9 o'clock, just past the brush on the green, is a big brown grizzly bear. Is that the one you saw? All right, good job.
Thank you. Smart. It's a little piqué.
And that bear is basically grazing. It's eating grasses. flowers, things like that. About 85% of a Denali bear's diet is vegetation. You only get about 15% as some kind of meat protein. It's a pretty small percentage.
Oh.
Okay, folks, I gotta ask you to bring your elbows in the bus, though. There went a camera lens. Camera lens cover. We're not going to be able to get out here and do anything about that.
Yeah.
Papa?
Yeah.
Eielson.
It's 80 now.
That's a full-grown bear. Yeah. Years ago, about 2009, we had the peak in the snowshoe hare population here, and it was sort of an unprecedented peak. Park Service estimated their numbers 4 times as many as they'd ever encountered before at the peak of one of their cycles.
jest chyba większy niż tamten.
That's a bear butt.
You got a radio harness.
Yeah.
A radio collar.